Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of a pre-race predictions video for you guys here today. We've got the second of two Michigan races for the Cup Series this weekend, a doubleheader weekend, of course, and coming off of a pretty good day in the fantasy team today. I'm going to give you guys my advice. Drivers you should stay away from, drivers that you could possibly have as dark horse picks, and drivers that are must-haves in everybody's lineup today. So basically, we're going to go off of recent success at Michigan as usual. Recent success at that track plus recent success in recent weeks. And we obviously have a lot of knowledge to bring from yesterday's race. Track conditions should be very similar, so I think it should be another good race today. It'll be tough to top that one yesterday. I thought it was a pretty good race all around, but nonetheless, we'll see how this one will go here in a couple hours. So without further ado, we're going to hop right on into this. Drivers that you should stay away from in today's race. I would strictly stay away from Aric Almirola. Yes, he finished 16th, therefore he's starting in the top 5 once again this season in the 5th spot. But the problem with Aric Almirola is that he did not perform well at all yesterday. I actually had him on my fantasy team. Aric Almirola started in the 4th position, I believe, if I remember correctly. So he started in 4th. He was up towards the front for maybe the first, up until the competition yellow. Had a bad pit stop and had a bad restart. From that point on, he could never get the track position. He was constantly running around 25th the entire race. It's probably the worst Almirola not only has ran in the last couple months, but it is probably the worst he has run this season throughout the course of one race. He did get up to 16th by the end of the race because of all those late race cautions. Ended up finishing ahead of other guys that might have wrecked out. So Aric Almirola is going to be coming off of my fantasy team today, and I think he is a completely is a driver that you should stay away from in this race here today. Really, he's the only driver that I have absolutely zero confidence in, because there are some drivers, you can look at some of the rookies that had decent days yesterday. Christopher Bell, I think, could be a possible driver that you could see as a dark horse pick. Christopher Bell obviously was running pretty good progressively throughout the course of the race yesterday. He was having good late race restarts and was running in the top 10 for a lot of that final stage of the race before fading back on the very last restart. Bubba Wallace also had a good day yesterday, was progressively getting better and better. And again, same thing with Christopher Bell. Those late race restarts were going for him. But unlike Christopher Bell, Bubba Wallace didn't really have a terrible restart. Still ended up falling back to about 9th place, but got the top 10 finish. So Bubba Wallace could be on everybody's radar again here today. Maybe not necessarily for stage points, but to get a good finish nonetheless. So I would keep a relatively close eye on those two drivers here in today's race. And then we pretty much got to go to your must-haves. Must-haves in today's race, first and foremost, if you can start him this year, take him. Kevin Harvic. Obviously, I didn't use him yesterday on the fantasy team, unfortunately. Otherwise, I would have. He is so dominant at Michigan. He's won the last 3 Michigan August races, and in fact, 3 of the last 4 Michigan races in total. SHRs, the team has won for the last 5, but again, I would stay away from Almirola. But Kevin Harvic, I would definitely have him in your lineup. Going to the same track that he dominated, won both stages and the race yesterday, I don't see why you wouldn't have him in your lineup today. Kevin Harvic, obviously, again, he's got the track statistics at Michigan on his side as well as he ran yesterday. There's really nothing else other than me repeating myself on how much you should have Harvic in your lineup here today. You're not going to see him in my lineup today, but I'm just going to go out and tell you right now, I'm going to have him winning every stage and the race just like I did yesterday, because I think even if he doesn't win the race, I think he's going to win a stage or two. And Ford looked really good yesterday too as a whole. All 3 Penske drivers had top 10 finishes, although I'd probably stay away from Joey Logano. If you had to pick between 2 Penske drivers, I'd probably lean more towards Keselowski and then Blaney as my 1-2 punch for this race. Keselowski was definitely progressively getting better throughout the course of the race, and Ryan Blaney pretty much stayed in the top 5 the whole day. What looked like in the second stage he could have had a shot to win, but Harvic definitely had the fastest car, and Blaney was right there, about 4th or 5th fastest car in the race. That is for sure. Somebody else to kind of keep an eye out on today's race is Martin Truex Jr. Martin Truex Jr. I ended up putting him in my garage late yesterday. I should have put him in ahead of Aric Almirola, so that was a tough break there. But I will be using Truex here today, that is for sure. He fell a lap down early on in the race with a flat right front tire, and he was caught a lap down with not scoring any stage points in either of the first two stages of the race, but he was able to gain that track position in the third and final stage, and even with no tires, compete in the top 5 consistently throughout the course of the event. Truex Jr. is going to be a guy high on my radar for today's race as well. So now we're just going to look at who I have on my team today. And first and foremost, like I said, kind of going out of order, but it's no surprise here. I'm taking Kevin Harvic to win the race again here today, just like yesterday, and it worked out perfectly yesterday because I had him winning both stages in the race, as well as Ford winning because he drives a Ford, and that's exactly what ended up happening, so that was perfect right there. All right, so here is a look at who I have on my team. We're going to keep Brad Keselowski on the team today. We are taking Joey Logano out. A guy that actually looked really well yesterday was Erik Jones. Very early in the race, he scored a lot of stage points in the first 2 stages and was flirting with the top 10 at the end of the race. His tire strategy kind of faded in back. He was one of those other drivers that also took no tires, but he couldn't keep the track position with no tires like Truex and Kyle Busch did. So maybe the handling wasn't there on Jones, but he definitely had a fast car. I would look for him here today. He's driving with a chip on his shoulder, not knowing what his future holds after 2020. And usually that's when you see drivers perform the best, is with a big chip on their shoulder. Maybe even hot-headed at times, even though Erik Jones isn't a hot-headed guy. But, it just seems like whenever something bad happens, drivers can make the most out of that opportunity. Going to put Kyle Busch in the lineup here today also. I'm not done with that. So I'm going to put Kyle Busch in the lineup here today also. Kyle Busch has performed well at Michigan in recent years, and he performed well yesterday. He was looking like a top 5 favorite. He was basically in the top 5 most of the day. The only time he fell out of the top 5 was very late in the race. He was battling for the lead with Kevin Harvic with about 20 laps to go. Harvic might have gotten in the left rear. It was definitely close. He either got into him or got the air taken off the left rear. Either way, Busch made a great save while leading the race. Unfortunately lost the lead, actually fell outside of the top 10, but was able to get back into the top 5 by the end of the race. So great performance nonetheless by Kyle Busch, all on old tires, because again, that last pit stop, he did not have old tires. So even after getting loose, he never came down pit road. So great job by Kyle Busch. He definitely had a great run late in the race. We're going to keep Ryan Blaney in the lineup. Truex Jr. is going to be in my lineup to start the race, but we are taking Aric Almirola out again. He is a driver that I think everybody should stay away from here today. So then you look at drivers that you could possibly put in the lineup. Obviously, we can't start Kevin Harvic, and we can't start Denny Hamlin anymore this year after the race yesterday, too. And Hamlin had a pretty good day. I think he should be a contender for a top 5 or top 10 today as well, and probably get a decent amount of stage points. So you kind of got to look at guys. Yeah, I wouldn't go this far down the list. Ricky Stenhouse actually had a pretty good day. He was running a little outside the top 10 most of the day, but we want a guy that's going to likely be in the top 10 all the way throughout the course of the race. Chase Elliott, it seemed like he was getting faster and faster as the race was going on, gaining track position, getting good restarts, but I don't know if I necessarily trust him. Same thing with Joey Logano, even though Joey at the start of the race, yes, he started on the pole. He was able to lead every lap to the competition yellow, but once he lost the lead and fell back in traffic, that 22 car was just not the same. He was a 15th place car at best. So I'm not going to take him in the lineup here today also. You got drivers right around the bubble that are going to be trying to score as many stage points as they can here today. Tyler Reddick, Matt DiBenedetto. I think I should lean towards one of those two drivers simply because I have the faith that Truex and the other top 5 guys that I have in my lineup will run well. But just in case one of them doesn't, maybe a guy like Matt DiBenedetto or Tyler Reddick can have a good run. Reddick's got good history here in the Xfinity Series. You can't really go off of history too much with Matt DiBenedetto because this is the best equipment he's raced with in his career every track we go to. Like I said, Christopher Bell had a decent run. Jimmy Johnson had a decent run yesterday as well. So I'm kind of going out on the limb a little bit with this last pick, mainly because I can't take Harvic, otherwise he would be in the lineup. But we're relying on Harvic for those bonus points today. I think we're going to play with Tyler Reddick here. A little bit of a stretch. I don't usually like to lean on the rookies too much, but We'll go with Reddick here. He's starting third. Hopefully can keep the track position. And again, with these shortened stages, with a shortened race again today, just like yesterday because it's a doubleheader, maybe that could play into his wheelhouse getting stage points if he can keep that track position. So it should be a lot of fun here today in Michigan. Comment down below who is possibly on your fantasy team. Who are your guys' picks for the race? Maybe even your pick to win the race here today. Mine is Kevin Harvic. Hope to see you guys later today for post-race analysis video. And for more daily NASCAR content, hit the subscribe button down below. I'll see you guys next time.